Men. We've been getting a pretty hard time recently. It's not uncommon to come across the fairly mainstream opinion that if you're a man, that you're innately privileged and your opinion isn't important. From toxic masculinity to hashtags of kill all men. There's even cases like this, where the University of York announced they would celebrate International Men's Day, but after 200 activist students protested, the event was cancelled.
We're men! We are men! We are men! We are men!
You're being told you're a piece of shit, while simultaneously men are doing very badly. It's easy to see why, in this confusing, contradictory environment, people like Jordan Peterson or Andrew Tate are so popular.
In what sense is our society male-dominated?
The fact that the vast majority of wealth is owned by men, the vast majority of capital is owned by men. Women do more unpaid labour.
Very tiny proportion of men, and a huge proportion of people who are seriously disaffected are men. Most people in prison are men. Most people who are on the street are men. Most victims of violent crime are men. Most people who commit suicide are men. Most people who die in wars are men. People who do worse in school are men. It's like, where's the dominance here precisely?
While there are some genuine critiques of these characters, you can see why they became so popular. Under this barrage of constant attacks against men, it feels good to have someone fighting back on your side. By tons of metrics, men are doing worse, most notably suicide. Yet we're constantly told that we're privileged.
The thing to me is that you're equating some minor inconveniences in your privileged life to
why would you assume my life is privileged?
But
why would you assume my life is privileged, though? You don't know my life. I don't say that about you. Why would you assume my life is privileged?
I'm privileged.
Okay, that's fine, but why would you assume my life is privileged?
For one, you're a man.
You know, most people commit suicide are men. Most people who work in dangerous workplaces are men. Most people who fight in war are men.
It's an easy way to dismiss our concerns by just assuming that we're privileged in some way. And just to add to that guy's list, men are also more likely to be living at home with their parents than women. We're more likely to drop out of college. 92% of work deaths are male. We die more often for 14 of 15 of the leading causes of early death. It's often talked about that black people are more likely to get shot by police. What about men, who are 24 times more likely to get shot than women? What about this case, where a judge tells a woman who caused a massive crash, "I'd have jailed you if you were a man." Anecdotally, I was in a bar with a female friend, and I brought up the fact that men are suffering just as much as women, and the response was basically this.
What did you say? Are you seriously saying that right now?
I was basically swarmed by the other girls in the group later on. It's because of this pervasive narrative of the privileged white male. Men who aren't in the top 1% are looking around, and they're not feeling so privileged.
Sorry, it's a boy.
And during the necessary reforms of feminism, it feels like men got left behind. I think the tide is shifting. Even left-wing commentators are recognizing these problems.
And through all of this building, which is amazing, there's also this like undercurrent of like, fuck men, fuck white people, fuck men. And it's like, okay, that's cool. And you can say that, but you can't tell me on one end that it's okay for every single black person to hate all of the fucking police because they have one bad experience with a cop, and then turn around and say, if you're a white person and you hear 50 million people say, fuck white people, here's the Mayo side, white genocide, that they're supposed to be cool with all of that, right? We're all humans at the end of the day.
Yeah. Or there's Richard Reeves, who wrote a book on the subject.
What's happened, I think, is that there's a few things. One is a lot of boys are hearing the message that we live in a patriarchy, we need feminism, etc., and they're looking around and going, wait, what?
Yep.
This is not the world that they're experiencing, and so they're struggling to fit the rhetoric about patriarchy and gender equality with their own lived experience.
Sorry if the video was kind of desultory, but I did want to get some opinion out there. Men are suffering a lot, and it's not talked about as much as it should be. And that's partly our own fault, as men aren't great at expressing our emotions. It's quite personal, but it was asked to me before if I'd ever told my dad I loved him, and I realised I never had, and it was quite a hard thing to do for some reason. I do it often now, but asking my male friends the same question, they usually respond with the same kind of surprise and the answer of no. It's such a basic thing, but I think us guys don't do it. And it's kind of sad that we don't. Maybe it's just an Irish thing. I don't know. You tell me. Just a quick update. Sorry I've been relatively quiet. I've started a new job and, there's a new baby on the way, so it's busy with me, but I'll try to be as consistent as I can. And thanks so much for 100 subs, it means so much, and I hope to continue doing this.